Okay, hello and welcome to this very late edition of my monthly makes. I missed the month of June. I just kept procrastinating and we were traveling a little bit. So we're gonna do June and July together, but I also have to say, kind of low craft numbers last month and this month, so it's okay that we're combining. Um, so I will start with fiber as usual. We're gonna start with fiber for June and then I'll do July. I'm still working on my Olga jacket. I have one sleeve fully done. The body is done other than the ribbing and the bands and stuff. So we're on Sleeve Island. I just have to finish this one and then I'm going to add the button bands and I think like a collar or something and then I'm done, which is really exciting. So that's going. That should be completed object for next month, but knock on wood, we'll see. I'm also working on this little dishcloth that's like a seed stitch. See it closer? I just want to practice different stitches. I also originally bought this to crochet a top, but I really didn't like it's like a linen-y cotton type yarn. It's sort of uneven and I just didn't like it for a wearable, so it's been turned into really expensive dishcloths, and that's okay. The other finished object I have is I saw this Chungza Snoopy that we would have to get shipped from out of the country. And if you don't know what these are, it's based off the little like rice like triangles that I think they're Chinese in origin. They're really good. It's like sticky rice wrapped up in some sort of leaf. So I couldn't justify buying it, so I made I think he turned out really cute. I got this boucle yarn in Peru and I didn't know what to do with it. I was gonna make a sheep. So this is basically a sheep, so it's perfect. I just made like a giant triangle and then I added little pearl bumps to help me know where to like fold and sew him up, and he's beautiful and I love him. I think that's it for finished objects. I'm still working on my tabby socks. They're over there somewhere as just something to bring around with me on buses and stuff, so it's taking a while. But that's it in terms of... Oh, one more thing. This is technically in the knitting category, but it's also in the like technology category. But I made this beautiful three-colored three-colored linen stitch panel, which is a knitted stitch, and I crocheted the edges. And I showed this in a last monthly makes, but this Touch Designer scene that I made, this is a 3D model of my old apartment, I projected it onto the panel. And then I'm using an app that uses like the gyroscope phone data to project a flashlight into the scene. And then I posted it on LinkedIn because you have to do that. But I want to work on more cool mixed media art like this. So this is in the fiber category, but this is also my digital category for these last 2 months. I think it's really cool. I want to make a second panel and make this into a vest and then eventually like project this onto the vest somehow while I'm wearing it. But yeah, that's it. It turned out beautiful, and I'm super happy with that. So that's it for fiber for finished. In terms of upcoming, let me pause you. In terms of upcoming for fiber, I have a ton of yarn, so I need to sit down and figure out what I'm going to do with it. But I will say, let me show you. I want to learn Intarsia, and I made this Intarsia chart of a pigeon with a really long neck. So I think my next, not like full-fledged project, but just like tester project is going to be little panels like learning Intarsia and practicing this pigeon. And then of course I have more yarn, so I need to sit down with my yarn and decide what my next project is. But I do want to learn Intarsia, so that's on the list, and whatever else happens next will be a surprise, I guess, because I have to finish this Olga jacket. So that's it for fiber knitting and such. Let's move on to sewing. I have not been very productive in the sewing category, unfortunately, but it's because I'm trying to take my time to do things and not rush. My first and only finished object for the last 2 months for sewing actually is this button down. I think it turned out really cute. It's actually not finished because I just got, this is sneak peek into the pottery category. I made these little buttons, but they took forever for some reason to get out of the kiln. So I hadn't been able to finish the project, but aren't they cute? So I'm going to sew them on probably today and make like little clasps instead of buttonholes. But this was, let me show you the pattern, the Simplicity S9952. I did make some modifications. Let me put myself bigger. So for the sleeves, they're kind of like gathered into the sleeve hole. I just took that out. I also didn't have enough fabric to make it like full length. So you'll see like this is pretty cropped, but I think it's really cool. This obviously has a lot of positive ease, but it makes a really fun silhouette. And then if you recall from an older monthly makes video, I have a matching skirt out of this fabric. So I think that it's really cute. And I made these little things just like in the pattern so I can fold the sleeves up. And this is double-sided fabric, so like I use the other side for the button bands and for like the collar and everything. You can see that it's a different color on here. I think those are the only alterations I made other than making it shorter. It's just adjusting the sleeves, and I didn't add interfacing to like the cuffs to make it more casual. But yeah, I'm gonna sew these little buttons on that I made because I had an epiphany that I can just make all of the buttons I need for projects because I have the tools, and buttons can get surprisingly expensive sometimes. So that's my finished object for sewing for both months, which is embarrassing. But, you know, sometimes we wane on our crafting time and showing equal love to different crafts. In terms of upcoming for sewing, I've already started on this, making a muslin actually. So I want to make this beautiful A-line dress. I'm following this YouTube tutorial. She shows you how to draft the pattern yourself, and it's a little bit like it's not super detailed, so I'm struggling a bit, but I'm going to write out like all of the instructions, and I found some alternative videos on like how to do the back a different way and stuff like that. But I'm going to use this beautiful floral fabric I got from Seoul when we were shopping in Korea, and then I have a checkered like linen fabric that's the same beige base color, and I'm going to use that to make a cool harness detail on like the top of the dress. So I'm working on the muslin for that right now. I think that's my only upcoming currently, just because I want to take it one step at a time with sewing and kind of slow down my practice. But I might make this button down pattern again now that I've practiced one in a longer length and like probably white, because I have a ton of white fabric for button downs. You can reference my fabric inventory video to see how much of that I have. I think that's it for the sewing category, so we can move on to pottery. Pottery. So in the pottery category, I no longer have this in my possession. This was a gift, and the gift has been given. But I made this Jellycat mug, and I poured this yellow glaze that I've used before, but I had a new pint of it on the inside. It made the most beautiful rainbow gradient somehow. Do you see like the greens and the blues and the purples in the bottom? It was almost difficult for me to give away because it was stunning. Like, I don't know, I'm gonna try this again to see if I can replicate it, because I just poured the glaze in and then poured it back out. But the pooling was so perfect. Like, sometimes things are just a one-off. In terms of other finished objects, let me make myself bigger. I want to make more of these little creature mugs. I love them. I think they're stunning. But this one we had some trouble. So all of the toes broke off on both feet. After the bisque firing or during, I don't know, I just found her on the shelf with no toes, and it made me very sad. But what I did was I used glaze, and then I just placed it on a coaster very carefully, and I used the glaze to fuse the toes back on. So in order to not repeat that same mistake, I bought some wire, like high-fire wire that people use to sculpt, and I'm going to put it in the toes so that hopefully during the like bisque portion of things, when it's really fragile and it gets like set down this way, maybe that'll prevent future toe breaks, hopefully, because I want to make more of these. I think they're really cool. And if I ever were to sell pottery, it would be like something like this, because I think it would be hard to find. You could find similar things, but not exactly the same. In terms of other finished pottery objects, so obviously I have my buttons that I already showed you. I made some white porcelain ones and some black porcelain ones with some blue on it. The blue ones are for this. And then I made a couple test buttons that are just this like fun yellow. It's actually, so see how different? This is the same yellow that is in this cup over here, but it's just one color. There's like a little crystallization actually, which is pretty cool, but I was just testing it for buttons, so I'll probably make more. And then we needed some just like oatmeal bowls that are kind of just like rice bowl size, so I made a couple of these, and I used this studio glaze. This is a Shino, I believe. I always forget what they're called, but it has this lovely like speckling on the inside, and when you put it on thinner, it kind of turns orange. I haven't quite cracked the code for layering because I don't want to use too much and have everything just be completely white. I like having a little bit of texture come through, but I haven't quite figured out a balance with that. So that's this. I think that's everything for the pottery category. in terms of upcoming, I do want to make some, you can't see it behind me. Maybe if I make it really skinny, I can tilt you up. We have some art on our walls and I want to put more things up, but I also I want things to look nice. So I want to make some frames, and I was thinking that ceramic frames would be really cute. So I'm trying to figure out ways to do that. And I also want to make a little like wall organizer. I can actually show you because I have it in here. I have my like knitting and sewing supplies next to me on the couch, and I want to make a little organizer where I can keep everything in here. So like little crochet hooks, my tape measure. I want it to be kind of like this style because I think it's really fun and cool. I just had to figure out how to do it. Like obviously I'm going to hand build it. I don't think I'm going to throw any of these elements, but that's kind of all I have for upcoming in pottery. I am also making like a really big bowl because I just wanted to see. I never make big things. Everything I make is small because I'm afraid, but I also just feel like clay is expensive, and I realized that's silly. I should just make things how I want to. So I made a big bowl for no reason. Excuse me. And then there's a few other things in the kiln. I'll let those be a surprise for next month because they're not finished, so they can't be included in these months. But I think that's everything. So I wasn't lying to you when I said I really didn't do a ton of crafting. This is going to be much shorter than my other videos, and this is 2 months. But in terms of crafting, I think that's everything. And then I did want to add a new, I guess this could have gone in the fiber section, but I've been buying a lot of craft books and books about just like my hobbies and things because I realized I can learn from books too and not just the internet. I'm contemplating getting into weaving, and a Reddit forum recommended this book called Weaving Iridescence. It's by Bobby Irwin. I found this stunning shawl that had blue on the like warp and red on the weft. So when you moved it, warp and weft is just the fibers that make something woven that are like this. There's up and down and left and right. So if they're two different colors and they're woven in the right way, it can kind of look iridescent, which is super cool. So I got this book. I'm gonna read it. I have a lot of books actually. Vogue Knitting is sitting over there. So that's also part of my crafting goal, is just to sit down and learn more. I don't have to constantly be making things, even though I want to. So I think that's everything. There'll be a short video this month, but I'm going to try to get back to my monthly cadence. And that's it. Thank you for sticking around. If you have any suggestions for new crafts for me to try or projects to do, leave them in the comments. No one's going to make it this far. Okay, bye.